Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the farm. As you can tell, I got a little bit of a cold here. We've been just the whole household has been working to fight it off here the last few days. But anyways, I'm up. It's first thing in the morning, Saturday morning. The girls are all still in bed. I'm out in the workshop. And what am I working on? Well, have you ever had a thing that was just, has just always been quite terrible and has never really been good enough? That's what I'm dealing with. So I'm getting into working on the barn project later today. I want to put the kick plate up, and I bought a whole lift of rough cut lumber. So the thing with rough cut lumber is it's not dimensional. So the boards aren't really 10 feet. They're actually 10 feet, 1 inch. And the cut is never really straight on one side. So I wanted to bring over the miter saw so I could cut one side and make everything, the appropriate length, and just keep it simple, keep it easy, and have a sawhorse on the other side. Now, I got this miter saw, I don't know, probably 8 or 9 years ago at an estate sale. And then I built just with scrap wood or whatever, just built a table for it. It's got some casters and I can just pull it around the shop and go wherever. At that point in time, I didn't even own sawhorses. I don't know why we didn't own sawhorses. I think it was like 6 months later we bought sawhorses, and then realized that actually the height of the table and the height of the sawhorses were different. But here we are, it's now 2022, and I've never done anything about it because I've never really had to do a significantly large project where I had to use the saw. A guy can always make do for a small job or something like that. But here we are, I'm about to embark on probably a 7-day project with substandard tools and equipment. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. So this may seem really, really simple, because literally all I have to do is just take the leg off one at a time or whatever, and just trim them to the appropriate height, and then put the leg back on. Something I probably should have done 8 or 9 years ago. So here's what we're looking at, big picture. You can see the height of the table, and then you can see the height of the sawhorse, and it's about 1.25 inches. So now I know I'm not going to get this project finished. I'm going to get it finished today for sure. It's going to get finished this morning, but I'm not going to get it finished immediately here, because my father-in-law just called, and he's on his way to come load up the cows. So the cows are heading back to Rio Grande for the winter. And so last night, actually, Carmen and I and the girls, we went to Grand Prairie to watch a Broadway musical presentation of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Thought that would be a nice treat for the girls. The whole family went. It was good. Well, not the whole family, because mother-in-law and father-in-law were here while we were in town. We didn't realize until they were already here, rounding up the cows and putting them in the corrals. And of course, we were worried about sheep and all this, anyways, they had a bit of a rodeo on their hands, but they got everything in the corrals. So they're on their way now with the trailer. And then we're going to go fetch them up into the cattle liner, and they can go home for the winter. And then I'll let the sheep back in where they can be in. Now, of course, that didn't really take very long. A couple minutes. It balanced itself on 3 legs quite well. And now I have a sawhorse that matches, or the table that matches the height of the sawhorse. So the rest of the day is going to go amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I did get it done actually before the in-laws got here with the cattle liner. So I'm going to hop into side-by-side here now and head down that direction. So it's real noisy down here this morning, and cold. It's like 4, maybe 5 degrees up in the farmyard, but down here in the bottom of the hill, it's frost. It's probably -1, -2, somewhere there. So almost toque season. Anyways, I noticed, the in-laws got everything in the corrals, but the sheep, they really just have a barred gate between them and the cows, which they won't be so inclined to go mess with the cows, but I know when we walk in there, they'll probably be inclined to come through that gate. So I'm going to see if I can get the try and keep my nuts off that barbed wire gate. I'll see if I can get a mesh panel and push it up so that the sheep can't come through and end up on the wrong side of the law here. I can't get over how much frost is in here. Holy man. Good thing there's no pumpkins down here. Well, that's the liner and one stock trailer away. There's probably one stock trailer load of cows and a couple calves left. We'll get them here in a bit. Ranger, come through the fence. Of course, the dirty bugger gets in there, wants a piece of the action, and then can't get back out of the fence the same place he got in. So, just when you think things are coming around and starting to make a little bit of sense, and maybe you got some stuff figured out, it doesn't work that way with sheep. So we got, like I said, 2 loads of cows out, 1 load's still yet to do. I was gonna head up to the house for a cup of coffee, which I've just come back from having that cup of coffee. But on my way back to the house, I looked over at the neighbor's place, and I know they don't have sheep. But funnily enough, there were sheep in their yard. And I spent a good majority of time actually along that fence line and the other fence line, working to plug holes and plug potentially future holes. Needless to say, about 4 of them, looks like, seemed to find a way. So now I got a bucket of grain, and I got to go walk that fence line and see where they've been trying to make some flow paths. See where they're getting through, and then try and replug that hole again. Never ends, I tell you. Fetch him up, Charlotte. Come on, sheepy sheeps. Come on, sheepy sheeps. Well, I got the sheep back. Trusty bucket of grain. Now you can see there's a few spots down this fence line, right there is a good example, where I put a 4x4 post on the bottom of the page wire, and it stops them from getting their nose under there and prying their way up. I've done that in a few spots where it was kind of low, but they just keep finding new spots. And it's not low here at all, but they're just, they'll lift it up, and then that page wire kind of stretches pretty easy, unfortunately. So I got some maple and I got some oak 4x4s up at the yard. I'll have to come down with one for there and one for there, and I might as well put one down there because that's going to be the next damn spot they'll be out. But for now, they're back where they're supposed to be. And of course, it's Lottie. Lottie's one of our, she was one of the first lambs, actually the first lambs we actually had. So, I've said it before, if you got sheep that are escaping, generally it's not actually a food issue, like in terms of there's a food shortage. I mean, there's still grass in here, right? But when it comes to pickiness, palatability, and the desire to be somewhere else, that really comes down to genetics. So much like chickens, sheep have the same thing, where if you've got a sheep that consistently escapes, you want to cut that one, because what's it doing? It's gonna teach. There's gonna be learned behavior by the other sheep to leave. It's gonna get some accomplices. So she's a sweetheart. She's kind of a whore for grain. Get out of there. I don't know if you deserve this, but consistently gets out, and she's teaching other sheep to do it. So she's got to go down the road, and any of her offspring are not going to be keepers either, because there's going to be that same thing, right? It's going to be in the genetics that they want to just get to the other side of the fence. I don't have time for that. I just don't have time for it. So the rail's coming along in here. As you can see, I got the base plate on, and it's just about lunchtime, actually, almost time for a bit of a sandwich, maybe a cup of tea. The other day, Charlotte and I were in here forking out the old bedding, and there was lots of loose straw in here that, of course, you'd need a decade to sweep it all out. But then with both doors open, gave me a brilliant idea, because as the wind is going through, it's kind of blowing some of that straw. So the idea is not leave the doors open for a week, because that's probably not going to solve that problem. The idea, the light bulb moment, is to come in here later with the leaf blower and just and out the back door. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't, but we're sure going to try. Well, there, that's one wall done. I say done, but I still got some notching out to do around, you know, the windowsill here. This board sticks up a little bit into the windowsill. I'll bring a jigsaw in and notch that out nice and quick. And then you can see in the center here, I'm going to air nail these in. I use the big heavy screws on the edges, but in the middle, I'm just going to use some 3.5-inch air nails, and I can just go boom, 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 real quick and easy. So, but we're going to head to Grand Prairie here now. We got a couple things to do. And one of those is actually go to the hardware store and get some 3.5-inch air nails, because last year I actually got at a garage sale. I got an air nailer, and it came with a box of nails. I didn't read the box. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I got nails. It came this morning, and they're 2.5-inch nails. So that would do pretty much next to nothing for this. So I'll pick up the right nails, and then we'll carry on tomorrow. I think I'm gonna have to move all the hay, which is inconvenient, but we'll get that wall done. Probably not tomorrow, but because tomorrow, I think it was tomorrow's Sunday. Yeah. So somebody's gonna want to eat some ham tomorrow. Maybe say grace, you know how it goes. So I'll probably have to come back and revisit that pile of hay on Monday morning. So I'll let you go for now. I hope you're having a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend, and we'll see you all tomorrow.